seated, please. Good morning. Good morning. All right, next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Kashonda Lewis Gunnell.
You raise your right hand, please. You swear testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Right, you have a seat right here. All right, you're going to need to stay close to that microphone.
Damn, are you a whore?
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Keshonda Lewis Gunnell, Keshawnda, last name Lewis-Gunnell.
How old are you?
30,
What city do you live in?
Columbus, Ohio.
And I'm just going to get this out of the way here. You've previously been convicted of felonious assault in Franklin County Court of Common Pleas in 2014,
Yes,
correct? And also grand theft of a motor vehicle in Franklin County Court of Common Pleas in 2017, is that correct?
yes,
And a misdemeanor theft in Columbus Municipal Court, is that correct?
yes.
I want to direct your attention to June 20th of 2000.
Thanks for that insight.
Do you recall being in Willoughby, Lake County, state of Ohio on that day?
Yes.
What brought you to Lake County?
Me and my friend, we were in Cleveland, Willoughby, I guess. And it pretty much was a escort date going back.
Who's your friend?
Her name's Destiny.
How do you know Destiny Thomas?
Just from Columbus.
How would you describe your relationship with her?
Really say it's a relationship or a friendship. She's just an associate.
How long have you known her?
Business.
For a couple years now.
About how many times had you hung out with her leading up until June of 24?
That time that we were together when we all went to jail, that was my second encounter with her.
Second time hanging out?
Yeah.
Jail,
Prior
the second
to
outing.
coming to Ohio, where were you and Miss Thomas?
Detroit, Michigan.
Why were you in Detroit?
Seeing my father and my other side of the family.
Prior to going to Detroit, did you and Miss Thomas drive up there from Columbus?
Yes.
How did you get to Detroit?
I drove.
Is it your vehicle?
Yes.
What type of vehicle do you have?
I had a Hyundai Sonata at the time.
Do you have a valid driver's license?
Do I have to answer that? No.
What made you decide to go from Detroit to Cleveland?
We were just pretty much passing through to get back to Columbus.
Once you got to Cleveland, what did you and Miss Thomas do?
Destiny posted an ad on List Crawlers, and I would say maybe like an hour into us being in Cleveland, O'Shea called her phone, and he called my phone as well, but I declined, and then he called Destiny, and I guess.
I'm gonna stop you for a second just so we can break down a few things. You said she posted an ad on List Crawler.
Yes.
What is List Crawler?
It's like an escort site.
When you say ad, what information is contained within an ad?
It was our pictures, her number. I really don't know what she put in the description, but I know it was our pictures and her number on there.
What is typically provided in a description in one of these ads?
Companionship.
It could be numerous of things. I don't know.
So it has photographs of you and Miss Thomas, is that correct?
And her number.
Contact information for her as well?
Yes.
Was your number in the ad as well?
No, I had my own ad on my own phone.
Okay. Was that also posted on List Crawler?
Yes.
What is List Crawler primarily used for?
What he called for escorts.
And in regards to this case, was Ms. Thomas contacted by the defendant?
Yes,
How was she contacted?
phone call.
As a result of that phone call, did you and Ms. Thomas come to Willoughby in Lake County, Ohio?
Yes,
Who drove to Willoughby?
me.
Why did you drive to Willoughby?
To meet up with Mr. Jordan.
What was your understanding as to what was going to happen when you met up with the defendant?
It was supposed to be pretty much like a 2-girl special, and he was paying $400. But when we got there and I seen everything that he was doing, I did not want to do anything with him. And when I said I was ready to leave, and I put the address into Columbus in my phone, Mr. Jordan.
I'm just gonna pause you a second because I want to take this kind of in
Oh,
chronological
sorry.
order. No, it's okay. When you say a 2-girl special, what do you mean by that?
He paid for a 2-for-1, pretty much 2 girls for one price.
What is the defendant receiving for that price?
It was sex.
What was the negotiated payment between the defendant and you and Ms. Thomas?
$400.
Did you receive any money prior to arriving at the defendant's apartment?
No.
When did you receive the money?
When we got there,
How much money did you receive?
he sent 200 to Destiny's Cash App and 100 to mine. And when he was supposed to send the other 100 to my Cash App, that's when he did his stuff he was doing and started wigging out on us.
So you did in fact go to the defendant's apartment in this case, correct?
Yes.
When you arrived at the defendant's apartment, what were your initial observations?
What do you mean?
What was the state of his apartment?
If you want me to be completely honest, it looked like that was about to be our death place.
Why do you say that?
The way it looked, it was ladders, extension cord, paint, hammers. It didn't look like a home, if you ask me.
So it didn't have the contents or furnishings that you would typically see in an apartment?
No,
For example, no couch.
no.
When you arrived at the defendant's apartment, walk us through what happened.
So when we went upstairs on the second floor, he opened up the door. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and bash this man because that's not what I'm here for. He was nice to us until he started smoking his drug of choice. And when we first got there, I'm not gonna lie, excuse my language, he bullshitted majority of the time when it came to the payment. So I was sitting on the edge of the bed and I just kept saying, I'm ready to go home. 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 And once he sent the $100 to my phone, I'm still telling her, like, I'm ready to go home. Like, I don't even want to do anything with this man because he was sitting there smoking crack cocaine and he blew crack smoke in Destiny's face. And once he did that, I was completely ready to go home.
All right, I'm gonna stop you for a second. You said you initially arrived at his apartment and he was acting fine. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you said he started smoking his drug of choice.
Yeah,
What did you actually observe the defendant doing?
smoking crack.
How did you know it was crack?
I mean, I didn't been around before. I know what crack looked like. He had the little stem thing and he just kept moving crack from where he had it on a pillow on his kneecap to the stem.
When you say stem, are you referring to like a glass
She's a lay
pipe?
witness on
Yeah.
crack.
And did you see the defendant actually
Came from Detroit.
put the pipe to his lips?
Yes.
That's all you need to
And
say.
he blew it in my friend's face.
Approximately how long were you at the defendant's apartment before he started smoking crack?
He started doing that stuff instantly as soon as we hit his bedroom.
up until that point, had any sexual activity occurred between either you, Ms. Thomas, or the defendant?
Destiny was giving him oral when everything occurred.
Where was Destiny performing fellatio on the defendant? Where in the apartment?
In the bedroom.
Can you describe the layout of the defendant's bedroom?
It looked at like a bunk bed. Like when you first walk in the room, it was like a metal thing, and then it was a blow up bed up under. If I can remember right, he had a projector and it faced the front of the room, like by the door, and he had the little music and the speaker and all of that and the crack.
How did it come to be that Ms. Thomas started performing fellatio on the defendant?
I mean, the man was already butt naked when we got there, so it pretty much took her no time once she got her $200.
When Ms. Thomas was performing the sexual act, what were you doing?
Sitting on the bed, complaining, ready to go.
Why were you so ready to go home at this point?
Because I felt uncomfortable. This man was smoking crack in my face.
You previously testified at one point he blew smoke in Ms. Thomas's face?
Yes, he did.
Please tell us more about that.
She was giving him oral, and it was the last crack smoke he did. And he like, yeah, I'm about to take this 40 hit. And he lit it up, hit it, and he said, in Destiny's face. And once he did that, I was really ready to go. And once I put the address to Columbus, he snatched my phone. He rose up and snatched my phone and said, excuse my language, but he said, y'all bitches trying to rob me. And he just got very angry.
Approximately how long was Ms. Thomas performing fellatio on the defendant before he blew the smoke in her face?
I would say maybe 6 to 9 minutes.
What was Ms. Thomas's reaction when the defendant did that?
She didn't do nothing. She didn't say nothing. She didn't get mad, nothing.
Did that bother you?
Yes,
Why?
because we don't smoke crack. We don't indulge in that type of stuff. And you just let this man blow crack smoke in your face for any amount of money. Like, that's not okay. It's already bad enough that we were out here selling our body and you just sold your body to a, I'm sorry to say this, but a crackhead.
And you testified the defendant said he was hitting a 40. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is a 40?
I guess a 40 piece of crack. Like, he was literally stuffing that glass thing with that dope. He was grabbing from on top of that metal thing. And I watched him put crack on the pillow, crack on his kneecaps, crack on the stem.
Approximately how many times did you see the defendant smoke from the pipe?
He did it about a good 7, 8 times before he got mad.
Let's talk about when the defendant got mad. You previously testified that you had put an address into your phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
What address did you put into your phone?
4200 Stelzer Road, Columbus, Ohio.
So is your address to get home.
Yes.
How did the defendant react to this?
I guess once he heard that, he rose up and said, y'all bitches trying to rob me. And he snatched my phone, snatched his phone, threw my phone behind the bed. When I tried to grab it, he like mushed me away from where my phone was. And that's when he grabbed his, thing.
What thing?
His gun.
Where did he grab the firearm from?
From behind that bed where he threw my phone.
What was the defendant doing with the firearm?
He just waved it and was like, y'all bitches trying to rob me, and just kept waving the gun. And I'm like, sir, can I get my phone so I can go home? I'm not from here. And Destiny, I don't know how she ended up getting out his door, because the way the door was, it was like booby trapped or something. And she got out the door and he ended up closing the door after she left. And I was still in the apartment, and I kept asking him, can I just get my phone so I can leave? And every time I tried to go to the door, he just got angrier and angrier.
When you say the door was booby trapped, what do you mean by that?
It had locks, like more than one lock on the door.
Is it difficult to exit or open the door?
Yes.
What were you doing once Miss Thomas was able to get out of the apartment?
I stood at his living room window screaming,
What were you screaming?
somebody help me get out of here. He won't let me out of here.
After that point in time, or what was the defendant doing while you were screaming that?
Just walking around his house butt naked. Hi.
Did he still have the firearm?
Yes.
Did he still have the crack?
No, once he heard the police come, he was coming out the room. And when I heard the police, he was already at the door. And that's when I started assaulting him.
Let's talk about when the police arrived. Do you recall hearing the Willoughby Police Department knocking on the door?
Yes.
Would the defendant open the door?
Yeah, he opened it while they were screaming Willoughby police.
What happened once he opened the door?
I hit him in his head. The door got opened, and it looked at like 10 officers, but it probably wasn't. It was probably like maybe 3 or 4. But he fought them for dear life for about, I would say, 3-4 minutes.
What were you
naked.
doing during this 3 or 4 minutes?
The officer told me to stand at the door and not move, so that's what I did.
You previously testified that you hit the defendant as well.
Yes.
Why did you hit him?
He was stealing my phone and had me held hostage in his home.
Were you scared for your safety?
Of course I was.
When you say you testified the defendant was struggling with the police, is that an accurate way to state it?
It wasn't no struggle. He was fighting them.
Can you describe that for me?
Like it looked like 10 officers to get that skinny man on the ground.
Approximately where in the apartment was this struggle occurring?
In the living room.
It wasn't a struggle. We were fighting.
The cell phone you had on you that day, do you recall what type of cell phone it was?
An iPhone XR.
Do you recall what it looked like?
It had a glitter case, a clear glitter case, and it had like blue, purple, pink glitter.
One moment, Your Honor.
Could y'all close this window? It's cold.
What's that?
Could y'all close this window, please?
Hey, Bob, can you shut these windows?
Well, this is the most law talk with Mike trial I've ever seen.
Thank you. Breathing.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yeah.
I'm going to hand you some gloves, if you wouldn't mind putting them on prior to handling the evidence, as well as scissors. I'm handing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 17. Can you please open that envelope and tell us if you recognize the contents inside?
My phone.
That's the phone you had on you the night of June 20th of 2024?
Yes.
Is that the same phone that the defendant took from you?
Yes.
When the defendant took your phone, what did you see him do with it?
He threw it behind his bed.
Your Honor, may I publish State's Exhibit 10C at this time?
Yeah, it's been admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Wow, this is getting, oh, up here on the screen, I'm going to display what's been previously admitted as State's Exhibit 10C. Is what's depicted in this photograph look familiar?
Yes, that's Mr. Jordan's apartment.
Is this similar to how it looked on the early morning hours of June 20th of 2024?
I mean, it's cleaned up very well, but yeah,
It looks a little different.
yeah, it's just cleaner.
Is the bed and bed frame in approximately the same location?
Yes.
When you said the defendant threw the phone behind his bed, can you describe where in the photograph that would have been?
Where the top where the bed is touching the wall, my phone was right there.
Directly underneath what appears to be a stereo player
Yes.
up on the shelf. Did you see what the defendant did with the firearm prior to police arrival?
No.
Ms. Lewis-Ganell, you were also arrested as a result of the incident on this night. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you subsequently pled and were convicted of assault and engaging in prostitution in Willoughby Municipal Court. Is that right?
Yes.
And did you receive any deal or benefit from the state of Ohio in exchange for your testimony here today?
No.
Do you see Mr. O'Shea Jordan here in court?
Yeah.
Can you please point to where he is seated and identify what he is wearing?
The brown sweater, glasses, bald head.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant.
Yes.
Prior to this night, had you ever met the defendant before?
No.
No further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
Mrs. Gunwell, is it?
Ganell.
Ganell. Sorry, and thank you. I'm sorry. You stated that upon you entering the home of the defendant, that it looked like a death trap.
It
May
did.
I ask you, at that point when you felt like it looked like a death trap, well, first, can you describe what that looked like to you?
You had paint, extension cord, ladders, hammers. It didn't look like a home.
So did it look like a work zone or a death trap?
It looked like a trap house, if you ask me.
Okay, so it felt like a death trap to you, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
I want to know, when you felt a death trap, why didn't you immediately turn
I
around?
wasn't leaving my friend in your house.
Okay. Before I ask any more questions, I would like for you to tell the court, true or false, if you were threatened to come here and testify today.
No.
Okay. So you mentioned that your friend and I were in the bedroom. Can you just elaborate on what that experience was from your perspective?
My friend was giving you oral in your house and you were smoking crack and you stole my phone.
Where was your friend located during this time?
In between your legs, you know where she was at.
Where were you located?
Sitting on your bed,
And where was I located?
laying down up under your little homemade shed or whatever you want to call it.
So you're saying where all three were laying in the bed?
We weren't laying in nothing. You were laying in your bed. She was in between your legs, and I sat at the edge of your bed the whole time I
You
was
never
there.
laid down in the bed?
Me?
Yeah, had you ever?
No.
Okay. Do you recall a moment when money was unauthorized and cashed out via the defendant's phone onto uh, either Destiny's phone and either your phone onto a third or fourth party?
You sent somebody in your phone $300 and said thanks for putting me in the hospital, and you said that we were trying to rob you. No one ever touched
So,
your phone.
how do you know that was sent?
You showed us. You
And
sat
what was the
there.
name of that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
You showed us your phone before you snatched my phone, sir, and you know this.
Thank you. Can you recall at what point that the chaos disturbance began?
We was there probably 45 minutes, if that. I don't remember. That was last year, but yeah, we was probably there. I would say we was there from the time we walked in the door till the time we left, maybe an hour, hour and a half, if that.
Would you be able to remember if it was close around the time when the defendant discovered money missing from his phone that you guys started to exit?
I didn't exit your home until the police told me to leave. So
Oh, okay. So then would you say it was around that time when the defendant discovered money missing from his phone that Destiny exited?
I don't remember. I just
Okay.
know after you snatched my phone, we was out of your house. Maybe I would say 15 minutes, if that, after that.
Let me ask you, do you remember a point in time when you and your companion Destiny Thomas began to exit in unison together?
What does that mean?
Meaning you both got up at the same time and began to leave the apartment.
We never left your apartment at
Do
the
you
same
remember
time.
a time similar to that where you both got up at the same time and began to leave?
We never left your home at the same time. Destiny left your house first, and you closed the door and kept me in your home.
Let's keep it in perspective. We're still in the bedroom. Do you remember a time when you both got out of the bed and began to leave the apartment or the bedroom in unison?
We all stood at your door and argued after you
What
took my
happened
phone.
during that argument?
Hold on. You can't, let her finish the answer before you ask another question.
All three of us stood at your door and argued, and I begged and pleaded for my phone for about a good 3 minutes before Destiny got out of your home.
Okay. During that argument, do you recall anyone pulling out a knife? If it was
A knife?
yeah.
There's no
Nobody had a
reason to
knife. You
object
had
here.
a gun.
Do you recall anyone trying to stab the defendant in
He's-
that entrance of the
He's helping
doorway?
convict himself. There's no reason to object.
Who tried to stab you?
I'm asking, do you recall?
No.
Okay. Let the record reflect that Destiny did have a knife in her pocket when she was arrested.
You cannot
That
make
don't have
statements.
nothing
Hold
to
on,
do with
hold
it.
on. I'm talking.
Sorry.
You cannot make statements. You can ask questions. The jury's instructed to disregard his last statement. Ask a question.
Okay. Did Destiny have a knife on a person that night?
I don't know. They had us all separated. The police did. You as well. You were the first one in the cop car.
Okay.
I know my friend had drugs on her. I don't know about a weapon though.
Did you yourself have drugs on you?
No, I did not. Did I go to jail for drugs?
Hold on, listen, you can't ask him questions either.
Sorry.
okay?
Now, as your friend has left the apartment, where are you and I at that time when she?
In your living room, I stood by your window screaming, and you ran around your house butt naked.
While you were standing by the window screaming?
Yes.
Did you have an opportunity to notice any police outside the building?
No, I just heard them when they were at the door.
So let me re-ask it. When you were standing at the window, running around the apartment screaming, back and forth from the window screaming, did you notice any police outside the building?
I heard them, but I did not physically see them until your door came open.
Okay, so now, when your friend, prior to the police arriving, your friend has already exited and made a phone call to police.
Right. She made the phone call to the police inside of your house.
I'm just laying the foundation. You're still in the apartment, running from the window in proximity of the front door. Do you recall hearing your friend make a phone call to the 911
I
operator?
told her to call the police.
Okay. So while she's making the phone call, do you recall her opening the door at one point while she's on the phone with the operator?
Yes.
And where you and I located, you and the defendant are located at that time?
She was at your door and I was like by your kitchen and your bedroom area and you were in your room.
So she was able to open the door after leaving the apartment, call 911, come back and open the door, peek in, and close the door back.
She never,
As you ran around the apartment.
I don't recall her opening your door again, but if she did do that, I don't remember that.
Can I have a brief moment to speak with my assistant?
I don't know if he thinks this is going well for him, but it isn't. Both of these, she just testified she didn't have a deal. I don't know. They've either, I thought that they probably did have a deal, either that or they've already taken their hit. So they've already been prosecuted for whatever they did in connection with this. But both her and her associate are completely credible. They just showed up to court owning whatever bad behavior they had or whatever, and are just telling it the way it is. And it's obvious to anyone involved. And then he thinks he's going to talk him into something. It's not happening. They don't care. They don't care. They have decided to just tell it the way it is today for whatever reason.